Welcome to episode 111 of the Inside Job Boards and Recruitment Marketplaces podcast. I am Stephen Rothberg, one of the two co-hosts, and I'm also the founder of College Recruiter Job Search Site, which believes that every student and recent graduate deserves a great career and that it should be easy and inexpensive for employers to hire them. Today, my co-host Peter Zollman of the AIM Group and I are going to be talking about money. Money. Peter, what do you
We
think?
always like talking about money, and I'm still waiting for you to send me some.
Good
But
luck. Good luck with that, buddy.
yeah, if only I were as wealthy as a job board owner. I'm Peter Zollman with the AIM Group. We provide business intelligence, consulting, and conferences for the job board recruitment marketplace industry. One of our conferences is RecBuzz, and at our most recent RecBuzz, one of our speakers was Patrick de Wachter. He is with Mediahuis Marketplaces, a Dutch company. He's based in Antwerp, which is an hour south of Amsterdam.
And lovely.
And lovely, absolutely gorgeous place. My dad grew up there, and my cousins still live there. Wonderful people. We had a great time when we visited with them a few weeks ago. But I digress. So let's get back to Patrick de Wachter. He is in charge of mergers and acquisitions and investments for Mediahuis. That's what he's doing every day, and he's going to tell us what that means, and then we'll talk a little bit about what they're looking for and what's going on with mergers and acquisitions and investments and job boards and recruitment marketplaces. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Within Mediahuis, I am indeed responsible for M&A and investments. And not every company, but at least our company, we want to grow organically, but also through mergers and typically also acquisitions. And that's what I do, let's say, day in, day out, searching for the right opportunities and also making sure that we can acquire them if it's possible.
Awesome. Patrick, maybe before we get into the heart of the conversation, maybe you can talk a little bit like the sites that Mediahuis owns, partners with, or as a minority shareholder. Like, what are the names of them? What markets do they serve?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, in the light of this discussion, we in the recruitment marketplaces, because we own a couple of other ones, we operate and own JobAds, which is the leading leading Belgian one, but with quite some competition, of course, from the international players, and it's a traditional job board. So we what you could expect from that. But we also quite into employer branding solutions and offline events. And then on the other hand, we are minority investors in three environments, what we call mass niche environments. One is in actually graduate recruiting. So that's Career Ferry, a Swiss-based company. Then we have a German-based Worker Hero that is focused on blue collar. It's a fully digitalized recruitment agency in that space. And the last one is a global one, Impact Pool, that focuses on jobs in the impact sector. So people that want to work with Red Cross or the United Nations for that matter.
Awesome.
You mentioned in the green room that you're looking for a whole new business model in recruitment, not necessarily a job board. Tell us what you mean by that and what some of the possibilities are.
Yeah. So what we see is that for instance, in the recruitment platform, it is quite hard to really shift from business model to another one, because when people or marketplaces that have done that in the past, they typically do that too late, when they're almost broke. And we want to be ahead of the curve, and that's why we invest in a couple of companies that we think can evolve into our future winners, and that's actually what we do. When we talk about different business model, this can be still kind of a listing model, but probably not. It will probably be more like a placement fee model, or even a software model. So that where we have SaaS fees for software that supports this thing. And so we're a bit looking at that. We do a couple of investments. We're not a VC doing 20, 30 ones, but we do a couple of them. So we try to be picky, but at least we try to invest there in a couple of them and then see which one is maybe the best fit for us in the future. And that's what we
The most obvious and notable alternate business model is getting money from job seekers and employees. Catho in Brazil did that for a while, was good and was successful at it, but it's kind of fallen by the wayside. Bold, which just acquired Monster and Career Builder, has done a lot of work to generate revenue from job seekers. And they just changed the Monster Europe sites all over into drivers for their drivers for CV services. What will happen with them eventually, who knows? Is that something you're looking at, or do you think that's beyond what you want?
Well, yeah, I think it's beyond what we want because we don't believe in really getting a lot of money out of job seekers, to be honest. I think you will have to be the leader because they tend to go to one place, and it's probably more for LinkedIn or something like that who can really claim that market. I think there's a lot of money still that we can get from the employers. So, but they have to see result. And maybe the result from a typical job board is diminishing a bit, and that's why they go to other business models. That's at least my point of view on that.
Interesting. So, Patrick, you were talking before about the work that you personally do, evaluating potential acquisition opportunities, investment opportunities. I suspect some of the sellers come to you. You probably go to some of them. Walk us through that process. If I'm a job board leader and I think that Mediahuis might be interested in buying my company, how do I do that? Do I contact you? What kind of information would you be looking for? What kind of criteria are you looking for in those sorts of deals?
Yeah, you could certainly contact us. I think there typically two ways. Either it's an organized sale, and then somebody in between actually makes that connection and they organize that sale, or otherwise it's more a one-on-one discussion that you have. But let's focus on the one-on-one discussion. That there we typically we first of all look at the product. The product, what do they deliver? What is the market? I think those kind of drivers are even more important than the financial ones. Of course, the financial ones will be very important in the end for the valuation. But I think the potential of the product and the market fit is the most important one. Because that also gives insight in what the potential of that company is, more than what they do actually at this moment. And then we also, of course, look at how it fits within our current portfolio, because we don't want to bet on similar things. We're not going to go in another graduate recruiter, for instance, environment, unless we can combine them. But otherwise, we will probably not do that.
Competing with yourself is always a great idea, right?
We are
Steven
already
does it all the time, but on a personal level.
No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't.
In the past month or two, we've seen SAP acquire Smart Recruiters. That's a big acquisition. Upwork recently acquired BubT, which is a freelancer management system based in The Hague in the Netherlands, right down the block from you. So there obviously are some acquisitions underway, but I heard a thesis maybe 6 months ago that investors and especially the VCs and the PE guys have no interest anymore investing in job boards / recruitment marketplaces because AI is going to decimate the whole industry. I disagree with that assessment, but talk about that a little bit. Are people still interested in investing, or do they think AI is just coming to get you and shut you down?
Well, I think that the two separate things are maybe not separate, but at least they're not so linked to each other. I think AI can, of course, and will, of course, do something in this market. That's for sure. But the other question is, what is a recruitment marketplace? What is a job portal? They're not definitely the same thing. So I think there is still interest, is it from VCs or other investors, in the recruitment space? That's for sure. Is it for the, let's say, old-fashioned incumbent job portals? There's maybe a bit less of appetite in that. And that goes, of course, hand in hand with that AI part. Yes, it could be that AI will eventually, in the end, be a threat for the job portals. On the other hand, it will only happen when some of the big ones, the bigger ones, the LLMs, will specifically going to target and train their models for it. Because at the moment, what you get out of it is still, quite. It's not qualitative enough, and certainly you don't get the total view of the market, which typically on the candidate side, and there's a kind of fear of missing out. They want to see a total view of the market. And typically, what you get out of an LLM is not giving you a total view. On the contrary, they're giving you a very condensed, or I don't know, 10 best things from their perspective. So,
well, many decades ago, a couple decades ago anyway, at least, one of our clients way back when, Prospect actually, said to me, no matter what happens, people are always going to have to find a house or find a place to live. They're going to need to buy a car or sell a car, and employers are going to need to find employees, and people are going to need to find a place to work. So no matter what happens, there will be recruitment marketplaces in some form. What that form is remains to be seen. But Stephen is about to tell us exactly what that form will be, and then he'll ask you about it. He's the seer among us.
Oh, well,
sage.
I think Peter's been smoking something funny. But anyway, I think we have time for one more question, so I'll grab it, Peter. Thank you. Talk with us about kind of like the ideal exit partner when for Mediahuis, and as well as I think you had some other ideas too that are sort of, pardon me, like more beyond the norm for an exit partner. I think you were alluding, when we were having this conversation before going online, I think you were alluding to like the seller, like that they're looking to exit. But when you talked a little bit about like other options, that was like, okay, there's some good tidbits here.
Okay. No, if we invest in companies, which we do, you can have three possible outcomes in the end. The startup or the scale up can, let's say, fail or at least not bring what we all expect, and then we will, as an investor, try to limit our losses. I think that's our obligation even. The other one is that if it's really soaring and really growing, it could also outgrow us as Mediahuis, because we also have only the means that we have, and then we will happily sell our part alongside with the founders to whoever is selling it, or it could be even an IPO, whatever. And so that's it. And I think the sweet spot for us, from a strategy point of view, is a place in between, where we have a well working platform. It's bringing a lot of money in, but it's maybe not on the radar of the very high edged, investors or incumbents in this market. And there in that space, we will try to see if we can be the exit partner for the founders, because typically in a startup and scale-up environment, they're in for a couple of years, and sometimes 5, 6, even 10 years. But then they go out anyway, and so it's a long-term plan for us. But from that perspective, I think we would be the ideal exit partner, and we want to be that alongside with other investors that are in there, and we would like to acquire then in the end, let's say, all the assets and integrate it in our evergreen portfolio, as we call it, which is the 100% owned portfolio.
Speaking of exits,
perfect.
We've got to wrap up. But Patrick, thank you very much. Have a delightful evening. Stephen, thank you very much. Have an evening or an afternoon in your case. And we will catch up with you in a couple of weeks or sooner if there's another breaking news episode.
See you in Antwerp, Patrick.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Cheers.